All right, we need to talk. We need to talk about the state of 3D printing because honestly, guys, right now, it's kind of a mess. If you've been around 3D printing for any amount of time, you are for sure familiar with the 3D printing kind of fidget toys, the articulating dragons, websites like STL Flix, especially all of the knockoffs that you can find on Etsy where people steal others' artwork and others' STL files and publish them as their own. Especially if you're a merchant or you are a marketplace owner and you sell 3D printed objects, you know that the space right now is at a pretty interesting crossroads where we have lots of stolen artwork, stolen STL files, and people are making a lot of money off of stealing other people's artwork. And then we know that 3D printing markets are so oversaturated with things like the fidget toys, the STL Flix kind of drop shipping garbage that's out there. We're at kind of a crossroads. And if we don't act now, I'm really concerned for where the space is going to be going in the future. Let's talk about articulating toys, because I feel like that is a big one on everyone's mind, especially with a lot of the recent news about Etsy updating some of their policies surrounding 3D printed objects. Y'all, fidget toys are awesome. I love them. I got them on my desk. I love printing them. I love playing with them and fidgeting around with them. They're fun, they're engaging, they look super cool, and they're really creative. And a lot of the artists that make these articulating toys are really awesome people, and they do really, really incredible work. If you've ever been to a market ever in your life, you know that these toys have kind of taken over markets. They are everywhere. The dragons, the dogs, the cats, the Pokemon, all of those things are kind of overrunning our markets. And to be honest, that's why a lot of markets are saying no to people that own 3D printing companies, because they don't want that stuff at their show. It's become so oversaturated that it's not unique anymore. It's not different. And there's also a lot of competition. I went to a couple markets this year and everyone at that market was fighting for the lowest price. And what was happening is people were printing the same objects and then booths right next to each other were competing for the absolute lowest price. And that's just not a fun way to do business as a maker, as an artist, as someone that loves to 3D print and to create. I don't want to have to be fighting with the people next to me to get the cheapest price. I want to be creating something awesome and selling it for what it's worth. Y'all, these articulating dragons also take forever to print. Let me go grab something for you. Stay right there. Y'all see this thing? This thing is huge, okay? It's my like arm length. Okay, this is like my wingspan. This thing is massive. It's probably 3 feet long. It's really cool. I really like this thing, okay? It's really fun to play with, and I like holding it. But if I wanted to sell that, I would have to sell it for at least $60. It took over 2 days to print. It wasted a lot of filament. And if I'm even charging $2 a print hour, we're talking about almost $80 just in print cost alone. That's expensive. And I would not feel right charging any more than $50 for that thing, maybe even not even 50. Like, that's expensive. That's a lot of money in today's world to be spending on an articulated dragon. But I have to charge that because it took so long to print. When we look at the fidget toys and we look at the articulating dragons, I love them. I have nothing against them. My personal opinion is that it's time for the market to evolve. It's time for it to change a little bit. There's been this other kind of craze that has started recently with companies like STL Flix or Hive. Hive is another one that I have a lot of problems with. STL Flix is a little bit better. Essentially, what these companies do is they offer large STL libraries for you to subscribe to for relatively cheap, maybe $20 or $30 a month, and then you have the rights to sell those items at your markets. The big problem with a lot of these subscriptions is that the items that they're giving you to print, the STL files that you're getting, take forever to print. And they're typically not that high quality. For example, on STL Flix, I had a little keychain. It was super cool. It was a mimic keychain, and it was like this. It was this chest that would open and close, and when you opened it, you know, its eyes would pop open, the tongue would be there. It's a really cool mimic keychain. The problem is that I could never get the actual kind of hinge where that thing would click together to actually click. It would never work because the file, the actual STL, just wasn't that high quality. STL Flix is like drop shipping for 3D printing. Only so many people can offer the same octopus wine holder for $45 until people just start to catch on and realize that this is just kind of plastic waste that everyone is offering and everyone is selling. And now we get into that same thing with the articulating toys, where we're just offering the same thing, trying to get a lower cost, where eventually places like Amazon or Temu or AliExpress will start offering the same thing. They actually already are, and they can destroy our prices on it because they're manufacturing it for pennies. Things like STL Flix don't work. Things like Hive are also pretty difficult for me to get my head around, because Hive actually forces you to pay a commission to the artist when you make a sale of their work, which on the surface sounds like they're trying to treat their artists fairly. But then you realize that these artists aren't really exclusive to Hive. I was able to subscribe to 3 of their artists on Patreon for cheaper than what I could subscribe to Hive to. And I got to actually support the creator without Hive taking a % of what they earn. And so if you subscribe to one of those things and it's working for you, keep going. If it's working, don't stop, keep it up. But if you are struggling to get sales and your 3D printed objects aren't moving, your articulating toys aren't shipping, they're not moving, Etsy is really slow, I want to offer you guys a solution. You see, there are very few times where we see a big evolution happen in the 3D printing space. 3D printing was pretty much the same until Bambu Labs came in and amplified it and made 3D printing very, very accessible, especially at a large scale. So there are 3 pretty big factors that you need to consider when you're looking at objects to sell at 3D printing markets, or just markets in general. One is cost. How much is it going to cost you for you to print that item? It's going to cost you time on the printer, it's going to cost you filament, it's going to cost you electricity, and then if there's any post-processing that you have to do, like with helmets or cosplay pieces, that's going to take time, and you need to factor all of that time into your final cost. Is what you're charging fair for the amount of time that you've put into it? And so you want something that generally takes low time or low effort to print, because that's going to maximize your profit. The second thing that you got to consider is market. Are people asking for this thing? Is there actually a need that this solves, or is this kind of hitting a fandom or a niche that people are interested in? This is really important because I have tried lots of things in the 3D printing world. I have tried to print lots of different things, lots of different objects, lots of different tools that I thought there was a need for, but at the end of the day, they never sold. And if they're not going to sell, and if there's no need, and I'm not going to spend my time printing it. The third factor, and this is actually what ended up closing my old Etsy shop way back in the day, years ago, this is why I went bankrupt, is scalability. Can you produce this object at a scale large enough for you to be able to produce it and be profitable? You see, for me, my company scaled so fast and so quick back in 2021, 2022, that I really wasn't able to keep up with the scaling, and I fell behind. My quality dropped, and I realized that 3D printing miniatures, at least for me, wasn't scalable. And so I had to shift and find something new that was scalable. And I finally, after 5 years of 3D printing, I finally found it. Thank goodness. It took a long time. I'm gonna go grab it. Stay right there. Y'all, the thing that changed the game for me was HueForge. Now, if you've never heard of HueForge, it is essentially a program that takes your 2D art and will convert it into a 3D image. And then you can 3D print them like this on your 3D printer. These things are super cool. This is 200 millimeters by 200 millimeters. It fits right on my build plate, right there on any of my Bambu Lab machines. And they are awesome. I mean, this Buzz Lightyear, this Woody, y'all can see them. These things are absolutely incredible. They have a great texture on them. The kind of like finish on the back is super shiny and textured. These things are awesome. I love them. They're kind of like disc plates, and you can turn your art, your actual art or your pictures, into 3D prints, and they look really, really incredible. Now, there are 2 really big niches that I've hit with HueForge over the past couple of months. The first one is the bookmark industry, y'all. Bookmarks are where it's at. Because if I just sell a square, there's not really a use for this. It is hard to convince someone, especially online, that they need to buy this because it's just a 200 by 200 millimeter square. But the bookmark, The bookmark is a game changer. This is functional, it's useful, it looks awesome, they make great gifts, and these things are cheap to produce. I can produce a set of 3 bookmarks for well under $2 for the 3 of them, and then I sell them for $12 a piece. The big size, that is. My smaller sizes are about $5 a piece. These things are incredible. You have to give your HueForge a use. If there's a use, like a bookmark or a magnet, these things will fly off the shelves, especially if you can get someone to touch it and to hold it and to feel it. The second use is for sentimental reasons. This has been great locally with some local photographers that I've been able to partner with, and I've been able to turn people's wedding photos, graduation photos, portraits, all those kind of things into these HueForges. Now, I'll throw an example up on the screen somewhere right here, but you'll be able to see how I can take my engagement photo and turn it into something really gorgeous and beautiful as a 3D printed object. Y'all, if you can find ways to create sentimental value with HueForges, you are going to see your business skyrocket. People pay for sentiment. It's just how it is. People want to have an emotional connection to the thing that they're buying. That's why fandoms tend to do really well, especially, you know, I'll use Star Wars, for example. People that have a sentimental or an emotional attachment to someone like Anakin Skywalker are going to be willing to pay more money because they have an attachment to that character. Same thing with real life examples. If you have a wedding photo or a pet portrait, maybe a family photo of someone who's recently passed, those things have sentimental value, and it adds value to the thing that you can offer. It turns it from e-waste, I guess it's not really e-waste, it's just like a fidget. It turns it from like a fidget into something that has genuine real world value. And that's where I want to see 3D printing head. I want to start seeing us move from toys and fidgets and fun in the 3D printing space to actual real world value. If we can get to a place where we are offering the world value with our 3D prints, that is going to be a game changer, and people will run head over heels to pick up our items because it's making a functional and tangible difference in their life. So this, I think I broke it. So HueForge, they are incredible, they're super cool, and the best thing is that I actually offer classes on how you can learn to make these yourselves. But maybe you don't want to make them yourself. Maybe you're like, Victor, that's way too much work. I don't have time for that. I'm trying to run my business. That's great. I actually have hundreds of these files available for you to pick up for free on my Maker World. And if you want to be able to sell these, designs at your next market or on your Etsy store or wherever you sell your 3D prints, you can sign up to my merchant license. It's $12 a month. I charge $25 for one of these. If you make one sale, you pay for your license and you make a profit because this costs you less than $3 to produce. I hope this video didn't come off too harsh. I know I haven't posted a video in a while, and so my re-entry back into the space is hopefully a graceful one. If you enjoyed this video, if you're on board with what I'm saying, you think there's some value here, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And I think if you're learning HueForge and you're interested in getting started in that program and seeing what it's all about, this video right here is going to be the one for you. Whew. They're going to cancel me. That's a wrap.